My name is Nathaniel Jackson. I'm the CEO of True Algae. I'd like to talk this morning a little bit about what the value of True Algae is and the business proposition for investors and why we've gotten into the algae space. But first, I'd like to talk a little bit about the miracle of algae. Algae is a unicellular cell that takes CO2 and converts it to oxygen. It also produces about half of the world's oxygen today. It also, under the right circumstances, can double its biomass every single day. At True Algae, we harness the algae and have created a very effective and robust biofertilizer. We sell directly to the largest farms in Florida and California. So what is the biggest problem for our client base? They are primarily farmers who have high-value products such as strawberries, blueberries, and various different fruits and vegetables. Their biggest problem is their soil is being degraded. They've been using for the past couple generations chemical fertilizers, which are fantastic for productivity, but that leaches out the soil. As one of the farmers told us, the dirt is tired. He also told us that he hadn't seen earthworms since he was a kid. So what we're doing is we are addressing this issue. It's affected from the problems perspective, it's affected the farm productivity because they are essentially addicted to using the chemical fertilizer. It acts like caffeine does for humans. It gives us a quick burst, but you need it again and again. The other problem for farmers is that their productivity and their profits have been shrinking for the last 6 years. So our solution essentially is putting life back into the soil. We're using 100% organic product to amend the soil. Essentially what it does, it increases the mycorrhizae, which is just, it's a good fungi that helps roots develop and therefore it helps the plants develop. The great thing about it is it costs less than the chemical fertilizer and yet helps the soil. So the value proposition to the farmers is actually relatively clear. It helps their profit per acre, which is their most important metric. When we talk to farmers, they're very concerned about the input costs and how much they make per acre. We can help them with those things. It also reduces the input costs of chemical fertilizer. It doesn't eliminate it, but it can reduce the cost of chemical fertilizers and reduce the pesticides. It also improves the soil fertility, but another thing it does is it actually increases the natural immunity of the plants because it enhances the cell walls, thereby reducing nematodes and fusarium, which are essentially the bad algae, the bad fungi. So we are OMRI certified. We're 100% organically certified. That means we can sell in 49 states. The one state we can't sell in is California. We need the CDFA certification. We're almost there for that. That's the 800-pound gorilla in the marketplace. We can sell as a non-organic product. We have the license, but in order to sell to organic farms, we still need that certification. The great thing about algae under our vertical photobioreactor process, you can see it in the picture here, we can harvest 50% every single day. It's incredibly efficient. It's very low input costs. It's essentially water, CO2, small amounts of trace minerals, and electricity. We have very, very high gross margins because these are very simple costs of roughly 95%. So there's very favorable unit economics in this business model. As we scale up in terms of production, our costs come down. Our unit costs come down. The very high net margins, we're selling at $30 a gallon. We sell in increments of 275 mini totes for roughly $8,200 per mini tote. The cost of our production currently is roughly $12 a gallon. This will go down as we build out bigger plants. The lifetime value of a customer, we estimate to be well above this number we're showing here, which is $144,000. That's assuming a 100-acre farm. We're dealing with farms that are 500 acres or above, but I wanted to keep the numbers here relatively conservative. The cost of consumer acquisition, we give away product for 3 months to let them check it out, and we do a lot of hand-holding. We go back to the farms every single week, show them how to use it. It's relatively easy. Just add it to the irrigation system or spray it on like you normally do with any kind of fumigant. But we estimate, because it's a lot of hand-holding, it takes about $5,000 or $10,000. The rough conversion cycle is 3 to 6 months, depending on the actual type of crop. Our unfair advantage is we have a patent pending in 11 different jurisdictions. It's cheaper than other closed-loop alternatives, and it's also higher quality than the usual open runway type of systems. Our initial user was Sweet Life Farms, which is a vertically integrated farm in strawberry and watermelon farm in Florida. They tried it on a few acres, 5 acres, then 10, then 100, then 100% of their capacity. They liked it so much, they made a $200,000 investment in our company, even though they told us we're not investors. But they liked it so much, they ended up investing. In terms of our competitors, our biggest competitor, frankly, is the status quo. It's changing farmers from their current activities. But when we give them the opportunity to test it out, then they can make the decision themselves. Again, we're easy to use, we're cheaper than chemical fertilizers, and it's organic. In terms of our team, a very experienced team, but I think the key player here is our Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Young-Woo Park. He took 7 years to develop this technology. He has multiple patents. The mode of production patent he signed over to our company. We have the rights to market this outside of the US. So in terms of traction, we have $200,000 in sales. We've built a 3.6 metric ton plant in Florida, and we've got these patents pending in 11 different jurisdictions. Our ask is for $500,000 just to expand our operations. We also we've already raised $850,000. We're talking with Series A investors now who are interested in a $5 to $6 million range. So if you're interested in joining us in the organic movement, we'd be very happy to talk to you, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
I guess I'll start. What did you patent?
We patented the mode of production. So essentially what that is how it's made, the vertical photobioreactor. And without getting into too much detail, essentially the secret sauce is how we take care of the water and then everything that's done afterwards to produce this very cheaply.
Why is your production cheaper? I'm not sure I'm quite
Oh, well, it's because we work with a distribution partner out of Korea who's been able to make this very cheaply.
Okay, and you made a statement about your system being of higher quality. Could you expand on that?
Yes, compared to the other vertical photobioreactor systems which are out there, we have it's cheaper than the alternatives, but better than higher quality than the open runway systems, which the vast majority of algae is now produced in open runway systems. They're highly susceptible to contamination. So about 30 to 40% of open runway systems have what are called pond crashes, where they have to throw out everything. So they have to start again. Ours is a closed loop system, so there's a high quality output.
Okay, thank you.
I think you mentioned that this doesn't eliminate the need for chemical fertilizers.
That's correct.
Is that right? Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, in order to keep productivity fairly high, you can reduce the amount of chemical fertilizers that you need. But if we completely eliminate it, the production numbers will not be as high. And since the farmers we've talked to are highly sensitive to what their productivity is per acre, it only resonates with the organic farmers only, because most of our clients, frankly, are non-organic. But they do like the fact that it amends the soil. They recognize that their soil has real problems.
Can you describe the behavior change that the farmer has to undertake in order to adopt this?
It's really no behavior change, because they just add it at a highly diluted level. It's 250 gallons of water, irrigation water. They can add it to their irrigation system. They also, if they want to apply it at a foliar level, because it's water soluble, you can just add it to whatever fertilizer treatment they're using currently. So there's no real additional labor for them.
What's the NPK ratio?
Excellent question. Virtually zero. It's 0, 0, 0, because what this is doing is it's actually helping the nitrogen uptake. So, okay. NPK is the nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium content. That's the typical driver behind chemical fertilizers. One of the reasons why this is attractive to organic fertilizer or to organic farmers is it has none. But what it does is because it enhances the mycorrhizae, it helps the nitrogen uptake within the soil, which helps the rhizosphere, which helps the root structure, which then helps the plants themselves.
Thanks. How much, how many long-term applications have you gone through and have you seen? Have you tested soil? Is it 2 years of algae applications and then, they're good for another 10 years? How many applications does it take?
This technology came from Korea. It was about 7 years of testing, so they tested a number of different strains and with a number of different fruits and vegetables. So we have some longitudinal data from that. In the United States, where we've been testing really since the last year or so. And so what we've done is we've just tested it on individual farms where we've just gotten that feedback. We've also worked with third-party entities to give us the data on the change in the soil itself. So we've seen that the increase in the mycorrhizae of about 100% and the decrease in the fusarium and the nematodes have been dramatically reduced. So we have those data. We also have the production data, which is what the farmers really care about, but they see it on their own farms. So typically they see an increase of 20% or more for the season itself. So that's what they're looking at, is how much extra productivity do I have per season?
Is the right number, the national usage, somewhere in the range of 25 million tons of fertilizer a year, something like that? Is it?
I'm sorry, the question?
Total use of fertilizer.
Oh, right.
And how much of that are you targeting as potential displacement? How much could it?
Could it? Well, that's a top-down number, but I mean we're looking to displace roughly 20 to 30% of the existing market. I mean, just because it's cheaper and it's organic, and we think our exit strategy is frankly to try to sell to the chemical fertilizer companies who will have to diversify their portfolio to include some organic fertilizer going forward.